Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and today we're talking to Sandra Brownlee. She's originally from LaGrange, and she is a veteran and has started a organization that helps veterans when they are returning and transitioning to the community.
Yes.
Welcome to the show,
Thank
Sandra.
you. Thank you, Wanda, so much.
Yes. Now tell us about your background and your service to the United States of America.
Well, first of all, my background, my roots start right here.
That's wonderful.
I'm a homegrown LaGrange, Georgia girl.
Yes.
I'm very proud to say that. I've always been proud to say that. And left here at a very early age in the military. I left when I was 18. And I actually signed up a year prior to me even leaving. I was on delayed entry for a year. I don't know why I was so excited to join, but I tell people all the time my favorite show was MASH. And I kind of loved Houlihan. So I wanted the medical field because she was such a tough cookie on the show, if you've ever watched the show. I love that show.
Yes.
So I joined the military when I was 18. I graduated from high school, from LaGrange High, go Rangers, and left and went to Fort Jackson for basic training, and then went to Fort Sam Houston for my advanced training for medical, and thus began my career. Served for 27 years.
Yes.
And couldn't have asked for a better career. I tell people all the time, I think that was exactly what I was supposed to do. Couldn't ask for a better time, could ask for a better career. Tough, yes, but so well worth it.
Yes.
So well worth it.
And how close was it to MASH?
Oh my God. Well, you know, I'll tell you this. I tell people all the time that if I ever see my recruiter again, we're going to have a long talk.
Yes.
He told me I would be in whites, in a hospital, taking care of patients, and believe it or not, never saw the hospital, never saw the whites, was always in those combat support types of units. So
yes.
Pretty close to MASH in some elements of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's good stuff.
Okay, now you started an organization called Discovering Soldiers' Potential 2.
Yes.
Tell me about that organization and how you got started with it.
So in the military, my job was a combat medic, and I'm always, I've always said that my job was just to take care of soldiers. And one of the best jobs I think I had while serving was as an inspector general. And we were at Fort Hood, Texas, and that job entails you finding what's right about the military and making sure you maintain that order. So you reported directly to that commanding general, so you knew you had to always know what you were talking about, because it's your job to make what's wrong right by the service and by following those guidelines and rules. But in that time, I had to do a lot of research to find answers to things. So in the course of that, you develop great relationships with folks, and you develop great friendships with folks. You help people. So it's in me already. I believe that. So when I got out of the military, I would still get phone calls from people saying, can you assist me with this? Can you help me with that? You know, I know that you did this. I need your help.
Yes.
So believe it or not, my very first client, as I say, my very first vet I served was in a local Dunkin' Donuts in Decatur,
yes,
Georgia. That was my first visit. And so I became that Dunkin' Donuts lady. So folks would meet me there, and by word of mouth, veterans would meet me there, and I would assist them with whatever problems they may have had. I would bring my laptop, and I sit there. I mean, Dunkin' Donuts is a great place to do that. I mean, they have great coffee, it's
and
free
donuts.
Wi-Fi and donuts. And
yes.
It's just a comfortable place, and they don't run you out if you're there for a long time. And so I went to Griffin, Georgia one day to meet a friend of mine. He worked at the food bank there, and he had met me through a mutual friend, and he said, listen, we need this so bad here in Griffin, because I feed the homeless, and I feed homeless veterans all the time, and we do need this service. And you know, a blessing for me was that his wife was one of the county commissioners.
Yes. Oh,
and
wow.
So he set up a meeting for me to meet with them and explain my story. And I explained them what I was doing and what my goal was, and to assist. I went to a couple of meetings with the community forums, and they offered me a space, you know, between all of that. But the space they offered me was just,
space.
Oh my goodness, it was just any space.
Yes.
It was a space.
Yes.
It was the old county courthouse. It was the very first county courthouse in that Spalding County region. And it was built by Doc Holliday and his dad, who was the first county clerk there. How awesome is that?
That is awesome.
And they also, and I tell all the younger folks, they also film The Walking Dead there.
Oh my!
So they love that piece. But the building's a beautiful place. It didn't look beautiful when we first got it, but the county, and I can't ask for better support than the support I get from the Griffin Spalding community, because they have come in and they helped us renovate the space, and Home Depot came in and donated lots of great equipment. We had volunteer services to open the space to make it the way it is, and I'm very grateful for that. And so Discovering Soldiers' Potential 2 started then. That's meaning to me is that now I have a place where I can sit down and you can come to me and tell me what your problem is, and let's work this thing out.
Yes.
So we cut ribbons on our building, the first one on July 18th, which was actually yesterday, our anniversary.
Oh, wow.
It was. So
yes.
Yesterday was 1 year in service to our veterans in the community.
Yes.
In Griffin Spalding.
And we're going to talk about how you've developed that also. But, you know, in Spalding, they developed a service for Veterans Court. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can. So about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago, Judge Josh Thacker, Attorney Josh Thacker, came to me. We were talking, we had met, and he was saying, you know, Sandra, we need a Veterans Court. And I was like, we do need a Veterans Court. Because what people don't realize that oftentimes, and this isn't being done all that it should be, when someone's arrested, they would never ask the question of if you're a veteran or not. Mm-hmm. And when we realize that just by asking that question, then you find out a lot more about the individual. You find out maybe why they committed the crime, and there could be mitigating circumstances that led to that point. So he said we need a Veterans Court so we can just delineate and find out what's going on and take care of our vets the right way, because it makes no sense to incarcerate them if they need other help.
Right. Such as mental health.
Absolutely.
Mental health counseling and other things, yes.
Or even some of those who are arrested actually are entitled to benefits but just didn't know how to go about getting them and didn't have to resort to that.
Right.
So all of these things made sense to he and I. And so he ran for Superior Court judge. And, you know, gratefully and luckily he got elected. I'm
That's
happy
wonderful,
for that.
yes.
But it took my judge away because he wouldn't have time to do the Veterans Court. But we were very fortunate that the outgoing judge, Judge Ussery, says, hey, I'm retiring. I have nothing to do. I'll take it on. I tell you, the way it works, God puts that thing in place. And it just works the way you just follow his lead.
Yes.
So Judge Ussery came in, and between us all, we put this thing together, put the packet together, and we requested this court, and we were approved by the state on a sort of a 3-month basis, and then we just got our permanent status.
Right.
So we are permanently a Veterans Court, a mental health court system in Spalding County with a veterans piece to it.
That is wonderful.
And we have 12 veterans who are in the court system with us right now, and these are veterans who have committed non-felony crimes. But we can take felony offenses, but these are all non-felony. But they're things that if we weren't there, it would be on their record. It would stifle their life, and it would change their outlook on how things are done. But because we found out that they're veterans in that system, we now do the service piece. We help them with their benefits and claims. If they need mental health, they come to the service center to get those needs met. And in turn, they maintain a whole case management plan that we put together for them. And if they complete the course, then their record's clean.
Yes.
And they can continue on their life with a fresh start.
That's wonderful.
It's the best thing in the world. I'm so happy for it.
I know. We have a DUI court that operates that way, and a felony drug court.
Yes.
And a mental health court, and I think they're starting a family court.
Yes.
So, we're familiar with that, and it's so awesome to be able to give the services that are needed and help people get back on their feet and be restored.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And you know, I know I may sound like I'm on a soapbox, but I'm going to tell you, I have to speak for my folks, and that's what I call veterans, are my folks.
Yes.
You know, that if you ever see a veteran at a point where he's begging for assistance or on the streets when you see these people, I can promise you that is not where they want to be, number one.
Yes.
And they have no intention of trying to con you. They just never had the opportunity to transition properly, to start afresh, like everyone should be entitled to, because they sort of put their life on hold to take care of the country. So while they were doing that, they expected the country to hold everything that was dear to them until they came back.
Right.
So all we're asking you now is just to relinquish those things that we are entitled to here, and let us move on with our life and make the community even better.
Yes.
Yes.
And, as you're talking about these things, and I see that you're passionate about these things, you live in Jonesboro,
I do.
and you have waypoints or
Yes.
service centers in Griffin,
Yes.
and also,
Macon and in Milan, Georgia.
yes,
Yes.
but you would love to be in Troup County, is that right?
It's my home.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. If you're listening out there, it only makes sense to have a Waypoint Veteran Service Center here in this great town.
Yes.
It just makes sense.
And tell me about the Waypoint Center. What do you offer there?
So if you were to look at our brochure or go to our Facebook page, you'll see that we offer multiple services that are listed. And I'll list those, starting with, there's a case manager. So I'll give you an example of a life in the day of a vet coming in our
Okay.
center. How about that?
That's
So
good.
the first thing they do when they come into the center is they're checked in and they fill out an application form. And really it's not an application for service, it's an application to find out who you are. And then they're assigned a case manager. And that case manager then sits down and sometimes, let me preface this by saying I meet everybody new that comes in first and foremost. I want to talk to them first. And then based on that, they'll tell me, and I'll give you an example of a young man who came in who had never filed for his claims before. He was a single parent, had a daughter, could not find housing, or had housing, but the utilities were off.
Okay.
So there were a number of things that he was dealing with. So by the time he left that day, we had filed his benefits and claims. We had gotten him a copy of his 214 that you always need to have that DD 214. That's sort of your record of service. And then we'd also call one of our partners who had paid their utility bill so that he had power in his home for he and his daughter again. And it all took about an hour to do so.
Oh, wow.
About an hour. Because
Wow.
the packet to do his claims was so simple to file. It was just a matter of no one ever completing it. So we have claims managers that write there in our DAV, and we have partnerships with NAVVETS and BVHV, and these are all claim writers. We have partnerships there that does our education piece from Southern Crescent, UGA, Middle Georgia, St. Leo, and we also receive interns and work study from those schools. So we do that piece as well at our center, but that's our education piece, and we have great folks who will come and walk that vet through that process. I want to just mention Miss Daniels out of Southern Crescent, who's just awesome with her vets. But she's a great partner with us in making sure they know all of the nuances of what they want to do and what they're entitled to. We also have an emergency funding and housing director, and their job is, and a gentleman comes in or called yesterday from LaGrange, as a matter of fact, looking for housing for his fiance and their children.
Yes.
And he called the center. Her job then is to find out exactly what he's looking for. But she also does something even more that I like about it. She asks questions like, how much can you truly afford? I know what you want, but so that we'll know that we eat every month and the rent's paid, what can you truly afford? She sort of looks at that whole financial thing with them. And then she goes out hunting for a great place for them to stay. And she takes into account the needs. If there's children, the school systems. If there's a fiance, she doesn't have a job and she needs one. All of those things. If they don't have a car or transportation, who can we connect them with? So that housing and emergency funding is a whole lot more than what it just sounds like.
Right.
And then what she'll do is she'll come back and give the individual 3 or 4 choices to go look at. And once they say, okay, I want this house, she then contacts the property managers, negotiate the deposit, and try to work it out so that they get in with less costs. Because that's always the most expensive piece of moving in, is that first deposit and
Really?
utilities and all that. So we work with the communities, utility companies, and then the property managers are sort of waiving or sort of prorating those things so it doesn't take a huge chunk out of that veteran's income as they're freshly moving into their home. So that's what our housing does. It's a whole lot of intricate pieces to it.
Yes, it
Yes.
does. And how helpful it is to be able to go somewhere and them understand the procedures and all the forms that
Yes.
go with filing your claims. And you were telling me that somebody had gotten their income stopped, and
Yes.
because they hadn't signed one form and had never received that form or didn't even know that they needed to sign it, but then they left your center in a short period of time and they were due to $25,000.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
where they'd come in struggling to make it.
And at wit's end and trying to figure out what to do next. So I tell folks, and even folks who say, well, I don't need to file my claim. I'm doing all right. My family's okay. And I say to them, it's not a matter of whether you're doing all right or not. If something occurred during your military career that now is affecting your health now, it's wise for you to go ahead and do that for two reasons. Number one, it's your funding that's available to you.
Right.
And number two, if you don't take it, it's not like they're going to share it with everyone else. It just sits there. So get what's coming to you, what you deserve, what you earned, and take care of your family. But you also want it to be annotated in their medical records, and that they are associated with the VA system, and that way if something ever were to happen, their family can then benefit from whatever they may be entitled to.
Yes.
You don't want to leave out the family because that's important. Yes.
And what difference do you see in people who come through your service center from the time they enter to the time they leave? What do you see happen to them?
So you've got to come to the center so you can get the whole
Okay.
feel of it. But the one thing that Sue is my housing director, and she always says, it's just amazing. She's not military, but her son or her father was, but she's a staunch supporter and volunteer. She's been a good friend of mine for about 14 years.
Yes.
But she says all the time, she said, what it is that when they come in, they're downtrodden, or they're timid, or they're not sure, and they know how they've been treated other places, so they're expecting the same treatment. But what they get when they come in here, because the preface, when you first walk up on the steps, we have rocking chairs that sit on the porch. Big, beautiful flowers that one of our community garden club ladies have decorated for us. So even if you want to stop them on, just sit on the porch and
Yes.
get your bearing. It's so nice out there. And then when they come in, the response that they receive is always a great good morning. How are you? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Are you okay? Do you need toothpaste? We sort of bombard them with everything.
How can I help you?
Exactly. The goal is to give them that sense of it's okay here. We're all the same folks. We're all veterans that work here. We're all volunteers. No one gets paid, so no one's obligated or forced to do anything. We're doing it because we really do care about you being here. And I was reading, and I'm not a Facebooker, but I will say this. Someone sent me a clip from someone who had posted something on Facebook, and it was a lady who was saying, I'm looking for some resources of the spouse of a veteran, and I don't know, anybody have any suggestions? And someone said, well, call the VA. And then someone else said, you could go to somewhere else. And then at the bottom someone says, no, go to Waypoint.
Oh,
It's over
wow.
on Broad Street. They're a wealth of resources. See Miss Brownlee. They are great people. They'll love you to death there. And that right there sort of summed up everything that it happens when you come in there.
Yes.
We're all just like a group of folks.
Right, but it seems like to me, just from listening to you, that you have such respect and give such honor to the veterans that come there, that, I mean, they are due it,
Yes.
but they get it. And so I am sure it improves their self-esteem just to be there. And you were saying that people don't just hand them a number to call, that they actually call that number and try to connect and get the things that they need. And
Yes.
so they don't leave empty-handed, and they
Yes.
get what they came for. And, you know, that's very awesome. So you restore to them
Just a sense of pride of who they
what
are.
what they're due.
They did a great thing one. I spoke somewhere a little while ago, and I said to them, I would like to introduce myself to you first of all. You don't know me, but I'll tell you what I did, and then you tell me what you think. And I said, I left my mama's home. I left my neighborhood, and I said I went to the MEP station, and I raised my right hand and said I would support and defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I said, but I wasn't the only one in that room. There were a whole bunch of us in that room from different communities, different locations, who were all raising our hands saying we would do the same thing. And I said, at that moment, we said to this entire country that we were willing to sacrifice our life for folks we don't even know.
Right.
So even now I get emotional because it's true. People need to realize it's not just joining the Army and that's just a person. That person said, I'm going to stop everything about me. I'm not going to go to college, or if I do, I'm not going to start my family or my new life. I'm going to put all that on hold, and I'm going to do what this country needs right now, and that's protection. So when we come home, and mind you, the basic training part of what we do, the drill sergeants, the whole goal is to create in you a superhero mentality.
Right.
And they do a great job of it.
Oh, good.
They do.
Yes.
Because we have soldiers that serve, and every soldier that serves, and this is less than a third of this country's population that serves. So we have to have a sense of we're superhuman because there's
Right.
so few of us.
Yes.
But we know that if we all feel that way, that if we stand back to back, then we totally cover this whole country and all of our allies. So we're all over the world. We're not just
Right.
here guarding our borders. We border every country that's partnership with us. So when that happens, you feel like you have an S on your chest. You know, you feel proud
Right.
to do that. You're proud to wear your uniform. So the least thing that I look for is when you come back, I have to keep that same mentality. You deserve it.
Right.
Somebody needs to always know who you are and what you did so they can always say thank you. Folks think that by saying thank you for your service that we take it lightly, and we do not. I never take it lightly when someone says thank you for your service. I don't think it's rhetoric. Even if it is, I still take it because it's just due. Somebody needs to thank us all the time for what we do and what we did.
Yes, and I think we really don't have an idea of what a sacrifice it ends up being too,
Yes.
and the things that people go through while they're serving, and the things that they see and
Yes.
experience, and how that takes a toll sometimes on the people who have gone and served our country.
Yes.
And then when they come back, they need a hero's welcome, don't they?
Yes.
Yes.
And not just the day they come after
Right.
playing in the uniform, but every day. You know, if somebody identifies themselves as a service member who served, you should be immediately wanting to just be grateful. So that's why I say to folks when we go, and I say, do you offer military discounts? Oh, we don't offer military discounts. So I always say, well, you should. You have your shop because of that soldier.
That's right.
You know, and if you think about it, not being facetious or sarcastic, but just a fact. If we weren't defending this country, we wouldn't have the freedom that we have.
Yes, and
So.
you know, I really love seeing what President Trump is doing for the veterans, and I think that's going to do it in the nation.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
I think people are going to finally begin to give the respect and honor
Yes.
that veterans are due.
And you know, I hope the day that you come that we have a bunch of like our World War II vets that like to come sometime and sit there and just tell war stories.
Yes.
You know, or our Afghan young guys who come in and they want to do all kinds of great things, like have meetings there with the younger soldiers to just help them transition, because that's the phase we're in now. We work with our World War II vets, and I've covered veterans from as far as, I had a gentleman from the Korean War. He's about 100 years old. And he
Oh.
came into the center. And he was mad, Wanda, because they were putting him in a program that would say, okay, sort of a comfort program. So they sort of cut off things like getting new glasses and getting hearing aids because they figure you're at that age where it may not be needed. Oh my goodness, he was so upset.
He needed them.
He wanted his stuff. I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. And so we had to call and say, hey, he doesn't want this program. He's fine the way he is.
Yes.
So it's just funny that when you think about that Korean vet, and then you have that World War II vet, and you have that Vietnam vet, and then you have that global war on terrorism vet, and then you have these guys here coming from the Afghan. I tell you, it does my heart proud.
Yes.
You know, to have served and had to have gone to combat and done my tours of duty in those areas. I know what it's like.
Yes, and you have recently started looking for, I guess, container units,
Yes.
or either it came your way and Miss Georgia's involved in that. I want you to
Yes.
tell about that initiative.
So we know that the number of homelessness is growing every day. And the number of homeless veterans is growing right along with that number.
Right.
And the word has been said that they're closing down some of the shelters where veterans are living in the metro areas. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we do know that if it does and when it does, those veterans and those folks are going to have to go somewhere. And if there's not housing available for these folks, that community is going to have to take care of them. There's no other choice because they're going to go somewhere. So there'll either be a burden on the community, or we can make it or create a place where they can be a support to the community
Right.
versus a burden. And so housing is always my number one. Please, if you have housing, call me, because I'm always looking for housing in any community for our veterans. So Miss Georgia International, Melanie Caceres, and I have partnered together with eradicating homelessness, period. Me, veterans, she, across the board.
Yes.
And we went to a meeting once, and down in Milan, Georgia, there's a gentleman by the name of Ron who customized a container home. And these are the containers that you see that are shipping containers. But if you ever go and Google container homes, there's so much more to these things now. It's a very effective and fast way to provide housing for folks who can't afford it, be it low income or not. It depends on how you create the space. So we've been talking with folks at the port trying to find out who we need to connect with in order to get these container homes, because we would like to do a test community to see how effective we can do it. So we're reaching out to HGTV, we've reached out to code enforcement and all these folks. We had a great think tank last Monday to talk about all these things. The support was overwhelming. Everybody's like, yes, this is a great idea. How do we do it? So now it's my job and Miss George's job is to figure out how we're going to put it all together and make it pretty and then present it to the folks who really want to know more about it. So the goal is to, in a 40-foot container, you could make a 2 full bedroom, full living room, kitchen, dining room efficiency for a family.
Yes.
And it would cost you approximately, if you had to buy the container and outfit it, maybe about $17,000.
So how many containers are there available?
Well, I can tell you right now, in the state alone, there's about 70 million containers in this country, and there's about 7 to 9 million being used.
Wow.
So there's a whole lot
Yes.
not being used.
So if we want some, we can have some.
Somebody has them. I'm sure you see them now beside the road. You see them in fields. You see them rusting everywhere. That could be a home for someone with the route outfitting. So we're really working on somebody being nice and donating these containers, because then we can get folks to outfit them who are saying, hey, there's one gentleman we know who says, I want to actually start a business outfitting them.
Wow.
Because it just makes sense. So he did one for us down at our Milan campus, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's a 20-foot container. It's a single man's home. Full living room, entertainment system, full kitchen, 2-burner stove, full bathroom, sink, and he's figuring out a way to put a wash and dry under the counter in the kitchen. But it's the most amazing thing. I have to send you the clip to show you what it looks like, because it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, and then tell us where you're located. I know we've talked about the service, and we forgot to say where it's located, how people can contact you.
Well, our center is located in Griffin, Georgia. It's at 232 East Broad Street. If you know anything about Griffin, or if you come to Griffin, most folks come for the sock shop.
Yes.
So we're right up the street from the sock shop, sitting on the corner. Big red building. You can't miss it. It's right across from the railroad tracks, which, by the way, makes a great sound when you're sitting on the porch when the trains go by. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
But we're located there, and our phone number to access us is 770-731-5563. And if you want to, we have a Facebook page, Waypoint Griffin. We also have a Waypoint Milan and a Waypoint Macon. So you can go on any of those Facebook pages and see everything that we're doing on there and the great things that we're trying to do for our veterans in the community.
Well, I just appreciate all you're doing, and I'm so glad that you're a Troup County resident and out there impacting so many people.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for watching You Make the Difference. And remember, your life changes things. We'll see you next week.
A year of replevin', got a promise from heaven.